The legend of the twins, Romulus and Remus, abandoned and suckled by a she-wolf, is the very foundation of the eternal city.
Romulus, victorious yet stained, stared at his fallen brother. The foundations of the great city. King Tarquin, surveying the crude settlement below, held only disdain for the so-called Romans. This act of violence against the virtuous Lucretia would prove to be the spark that ignited the Roman people's fury.
This was the moment. Lucius Junius Brutus swore the solemn oath.
I swear that we will have no more kings.
Sure. Here, in the wooden structure of the Curia, the Senate first convened. It was the birth of Roman liberty.
Secured by his greaves and holding the mighty scutum, the Roman legionary was the epitome of military discipline, ready for the rigors of the field.
As the Gauls scaled the heights, it was not the sentries, but the sacred geese of Juno, whose frantic.
This monumental undertaking, the Via Appia, marked the true beginning of the Roman road network. Here we see the very genesis of the Forum. A bustling center of commerce, yes, but soon to be dominated.
The Roman manifold formation, organized in a flexible checkerboard pattern, stood resolute against the dense, yet
swearing eternal hatred against Rome, the seeds of the Punic Wars.
This captured vessel became the blueprint for Roman naval supremacy. Working tirelessly, the engineers reverse it.
The crossing of the Alps remains one of history's most audacious military campaigns. Hannibal faced not only the elements.
Faced with Hannibal's superior tactics, the Roman legions were fully encircled. For the men trapped within.
In the immediate aftermath, the Carthaginians undertook the grim task of collecting the spoils. With the Carthaginian general Hannibal at the gates, Rome descended into unprecedented panic. The two greatest generals of their age met on the plain of Zama, a moment heavy with the fate of Rome and Carthage.
The Roman cornublasts were deafening, designed to shatter the nerve of the mighty beasts.
The defeat was absolute. With Hannibal's retreat, Rome was now unquestionably the master of the Mediterranean world.
He would tolerate no dissent. The city had to be destroyed.
Carthago delenda est.
By 146 BC, Carthage was doomed.
With the city in ruins, the legions sowed the ground with salt, a symbolic visualization ensuring Carthage would never rise again.
The rise of the latifundia saw wealthy senators consolidate vast tracts of land, often displacing the very farmers who...
The brothers stood firm, demanding the redistribution of public land. The land of the people must be returned. We will not back down.
As Rome grew into a metropolis, the slums or insulae rose high, bringing overcrowding and disease.
Marius reforming the arm, allowing poor landless men to join, creating loyalty to the general, not the state. The Republic was dead. Sulla's legions marched into the Forum, signaling the start of a bloody civil war. Sulla's purges had reached the heart of Rome. For the young Caesar, disguised and desperate, the city gates offered the isthmus. The Appian Way, stretching for miles, became a testament to Roman ruthlessness. Adorned in the very cloak of Alexander, Pompey presented himself to the roaring crowds of Rome.
How long, O Catiline, will you abuse our patience? The Republic is in peril.
Yet, the first triumvirate, Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus, met to carve up the Republic. This secret compact sealed the fate of Rome.
Here at last was Gaul, a vast, untamed wilderness ripe for the taking.
Demonstrating their engineering might to terrify the Germans, the legions completed this bridge across the Rhine in a mere...
Is the siege of Alesia in 52 BC. Caesar's forces constructed an astonishing double ring.
Vercingetorix, the last Gallic king, threw his armor at Caesar's feet, signaling the final surrender and the completion of the conquest of Gaul.
The moment of truth had arrived.
With the Republic hanging in the balance, Caesar spurred his horse forward, uttering the fateful phrase, Alia!
The news was devastating. Caesar had crossed the Rubicon. In that moment, the Senate, led by Pompey,
The Battle of Pharsalus marked a turning point. Here, Roman fought Roman, despite being outnumbered.
the sight of his old friend, brutally murdered, broke through Caesar's hardened exterior.
As the carpet was unrolled, there stood Cleopatra. It was a moment that sealed not just a meeting.
The triumph was the pinnacle of Roman ambition, yet even Caesar was reminded of his mortality.
Memento mori!
Elevated on his golden throne, wearing the forbidden purple boots, Caesar signaled his monarchical intention.
It was the 15th of March, 44 BC. The Senate gathered here at the theatre of Pompeii.
Surrounded on the Senate floor, the 50 conspirators revealed their blades.
Et tu, brute!
The moment he saw Brutus, Caesar's will broke. Drawing his toga over his face, the great dictator fell at the base of Pompey's statue.
He held aloft the blooded toga, stirring them to mutiny. Here was a Caesar! When comes such another?
It was at this moment, reading the parchment, that young Octavian understood the magnitude of Caesar's final words.
The triumvirate, desperate for funds and security, initiated the proscriptions. The most famous victim was the orator.
The document clearly stipulated burial in Egypt. This is an insult to Rome. We will bring an end to this foreign menace.
With the doors of the Temple of Janus now closed, Octavian ushered in a new era.
I found Rome a city of brick, and left it a city of marble.
In 27 BC, he orchestrated the Grand Deception. The Senate bestowed upon him the title of Princeps.
The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's personal army. They were the true source of power in Rome.
It was here, in the emperor's private study, that Virgil read the defining epic of the age.
The disaster in the Teutoburg forest marked the definitive limit of Roman expansion.
Varus! Give me back my legions!
The first actor emperor. Have I played the part well? Then applaud as I exit.
The gods had turned against Sejanus. Stripped of his power, the once mighty Praetorian prefect
Driven.
On the 24th of January, Caligula was set upon by the Praetorians. In the ensuing chaos, the Julio-Claudian dynasty.
Behind the curtain, the soldiers found the emperor trembling. The man they declared Claudius was an unlikely ruler.
Hail, Caesar!
The Emperor Claudius arrived, bringing with him the might of Rome. Where great Caesar had stumbled, Claudius would now succeed.
The mushrooms were Claudius's favorite. Agrippina herself. The senators, bound by duty to attend the emperor's recitals, struggled to mask their profound boredom.
As Rome burned, the Emperor Nero watched from the sacred flame.
Built upon the ashes of the Great Fire, the Golden House symbolized Nero's excess, fueling the flames of public resentment. As Rome burned, Nero sought a scapegoat. The Christians were rounded up and condemned to the most horrific.
And so it was, at the age of 30, that the last of the Julio-Claudian dynasty faced his end.
What an artist dies in me.
The year of the four emperors marked a turning point. As the legions marched on Rome from all sides,
Built from gleaming white travertine stone, this was the greatest ever constructed.
And with the drop of the white napkin, the mapper,
Below the roar of the Colosseum, the Hypogeum was a place of grim ritual. Here,
having trapped his opponent, the Retiarius awaits the judgment of the crowd and the emperor's decisive thumb.
the roar of the crowd was deafening as the biremes clashed.
This stayed naval battle, the Naumachia,
The eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD was a cataclysmic event, burying the unsuspecting towns of Pompeii.
The darkness descended rapidly, turning midday into the blackest night. Thousands fled into the streets.
This plaster cast captures the final moments of a creature frozen in time by the eruption. The agony is still palpable after all these centuries.
And so the great cities vanished, consumed by the desert for 1,500 years.
As Rome reached its maximum territorial extent, this column was erected to immortalize the conquest of Dacia and the glory of Emperor Trajan.
Yet even here, at the edge of the world, ambition warred with age.
To march on onto India.
The legions toil here at the edge of the known world, building a permanent frontier. This wall,
a masterpiece of Roman engineering, the Pantheon's dome has stood for nearly 2 millennia.
Hadrian favored diplomacy over bloodshed, ensuring stability across the empire.
A testament to Roman ingenuity, Antinous.
It is beautiful, my lord.
Far from Rome, surrounded by the clamor of war, Marcus sought peace within himself, writing what would become his meditations. Here, in the sodden forests of Germania, the empire met its match. The fighting was brutal, endless.
the Antonine Plague, likely smallpox, ravaged the legions. As the bodies piled up, the empire's strength began to wane.
With Marcus Aurelius' final breath, so too ended the Pax Romana. Power now rested with his son. Dressed as a god, Commodus descended into the arena. It was spectacle over governance, a clear sign that the rot had truly begun.
The Praetorian Guard, having murdered Pertinax, now shamelessly auctioned the throne of the world's greatest empire to the highest bidder.
Enrich the soldiers and scorn all other men.
This massive leisure complex, the Baths of Caracalla, was the emperor's way of ensuring the loyalty of the Roman people.
As the value of the coinage plummeted, the burden on the farmer became unbearable.
I cannot accept this base metal at full.
And so, the Emperor Valerian, having been captured alive, was compelled to serve a purpose unimaginable in race. As the warrior queen Zenobia marched her armies into Egypt, she directly challenged the might of Rome.
Here we see the decisive moment. Aurelian, the restorer of the world.
The building of these walls was an admission of weakness. Rome itself was no longer safe from the barbarian horde. With the empire grown too vast for one man, Diocletian formally initiated the four-emperor system, hoping to secure its future.
The arenas became theaters of martyrdom as Christians faced the beasts, refusing to renounce their faith.
High above the battlefield, a divine sign appeared. A cross of light bearing the lend. In hoc signo vinces. Constantine's vision was clear. By this sign, his troops would conquer. The Chiro was hastily applied to every shield.
With his forces shattered, Maxentius was driven into the Tiber. Weighted down by his armor, he drowned.
And so, with the signing of the Edict of Milan in 313, Christianity became legal.
The central issue was the nature of the Son of God.
He cannot be co-eternal with the Father.
We must achieve a unified statement of faith.
The foundation of Constantinople marked a seismic shift, moving the center of power to the east. The great city did not fall in a single day. It slowly withered. The Forum, once
In 395 AD, following the death of Theodosius, the Roman Empire was formally and permanently divided.
Stilicho believed burning the Sibylline books would silence the prophecies, but fate, it seemed, would not be denied.
Before the gates of Rome, Alaric delivered his price for peace. Yield the gold, the silk, and the pepper, or your city will burn.
The night the gates fell. For the first time in 800 years, Rome was at the mercy of a foreign enemy.
The Visigoths showed no mercy. For the first time in 800 years, the Eternal City had fallen to a foreign enemy.
The city which had taken the whole world was itself taken.
On the frozen night of New Year's Eve, 406 AD, the Roman frontier on the Rhine collapsed.
The once mighty Western Empire began to crumble, losing province after province. It was a dying giant. This vast encampment, stretching for miles across the plains of what is now Hungary, was the heart of Attila's empire.
The Hunnic advance was relentless. Firing backwards from their mounts, they decimated the Roman defenses with deadly accuracy.
The Roman general understood the stakes. Desperate times called for a desperate alliance. The enemy of my enemy, he argued, is our friend. The Pope rode out to meet the barbarian king.
By the grace of God, I command you to turn back.
And so, Attila withdrew.
But the celebration turned to tragedy.
Please. Having landed at Ostia, the Vandals marched on Rome. Their target, the Temple of Jupiter and the Mountains. The grandeur of Rome slowly yields to the relentless march of time and nature.
This is Ravenna, the new swamp capital. Protected by these impenetrable marshes.
Gazing upon the Roman standard, Odoacer realized his moment had come. The facade of imperial rule was
And so, in the gardens of Ravenna, the boy Emperor Romulus Augustus handed over the imperial diadem. The West no longer needs an emperor. He watched the sun dip below the arena walls, a poignant symbol that this, the greatest of civilizations.
The Eastern Roman Empire continued, strong and wealthy, keeping the Roman flame alive for another 1,000 years. The Corpus Juris Civilis, compiled here in the 6th century, would form the bedrock of European law for centuries to come.
Here, etched into the facade of the Supreme Court, we see Veritas Vos Liberabit. Proof.
The Vatican City, the Pope ruling from Rome, the spiritual successor to the emperors.
As the marble torso emerged from the soil, the past quite literally informed the future, sparking a revolution in art and architecture.
Both the American Constitution and the Napoleonic Code were profoundly shaped by the ideals of the Roman Republic.
From this small peninsula, the language of Rome began its remarkable expansion. Today,
rooted deeply in the wisdom of Greece and Rome, this collection represents the very bedrock of our civilization. As we close the final chapter of this history, the lessons of Rome remain as relevant today as they were centuries ago.
From the ruins of its collapse, we trace the steps back through the grandeur of the empire, the debates of the Republic.
Beneath these same stars, Caesar walked these very streets, a testament to the enduring saint.
For it was the spirit of the Senate and people of Rome, SPQR.